It was Miyamoto who once said, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Or was that Oscar Wilde? Yeah, I don't know. My point being, just because you clone or copy something doesn't always make it bad. With exception to Clone Troopers, but that discussion is for another YouTube channel altogether. In the gaming industry, we've gotten plenty of clones hoping to compete with their original inspiration. From Souls-likes to Battle Royale copycats, or how every developer has tried to Breath of the Wild-fy their games for the last 6 years. But there's one franchise that's yet to see much competition until now. So let's get to the chase. Does Wild Hearts have the sauce to compete with Capcom's Monster Hunter franchise? We're here as a co-op bros to answer that question, but more importantly, see whether Wild Hearts has what it takes to be a great co-op game for you and your best friends.
Oh, let's go, Spinner, in the super mode. Let's freaking go, bro!
Let's go! And I just got Hunter's arm on him.
Go.
Let's freaking go, dude.
That's right. We're back, boys.
Let it rip, dude. I got mine out there. Yee!
You can't tame the bros. You can't tame us. This game is so hype. I love every second of it.
Oh my god, dude. Oh, it's weak, dude. It's weak. We're popping up.
Easily one of the biggest narratives at launch for Wild Hearts was its performance, and rightfully so. We played on PS5 and had a mostly positive experience. We did run into a couple crashes, but no overall frame rate dips or chugging or anything really like that. Granted, textures and visuals are rough in Wild Hearts no matter where you play, and potentially rougher on other systems, but that's not what we come here for. The gameplay experience on PS5, outside of those crashes, was perfectly smooth. We did experience a couple of server disconnects, and had a handful of times where we'd have to quit out of the game in order to try and meet up. So overall, I'd say the health of the game's performance in servers could be better, but wasn't bad enough for us to not recommend it. The good news is that outside of these issues, Wild Hearts has an easy invite system, shared character progression, and shared story progression, a huge win. If you want more details, check out our how-to on the game that we released at launch, but the TLDR is Wild Hearts is in fact easy to play together and has good co-op systems in place if they're working, and for us they worked most of the time.
Oh, dang, dude.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Dude,
We're
popping up.
Oh my god.
Holy crap.
Oh,
dang.
Oh god. Oh, it's happening. You hate to see it.
Yeah, it's ugly. It's getting ugly, bro. Oh, my
god.
god. This is insane.
Why not?
If you've played a Monster Hunter game, the general gameplay loop of Wild Hearts should feel very familiar. Nevertheless, I'm gonna break it down for any rookie hunters in the chat. After the brief tutorial, and once you've settled in the home base of Minato, you'll be able to go out on hunts that move the story forward. These are usually given by an NPC and will take you to one of the 4 regions in the game. Over time, you'll leave your mark on these regions using Katakuri that will make it easier for you and your friends to traverse the lands by using zip lines, air vents, or this crazy wheel vehicle. Oh, and yeah, so Katakuri are the big innovation of this game that lets you conjure up all sorts of contraptions in and outside of battle. Finally, once you've slayed a monster, you'll go back to town, craft new armor and weapons from its parts, and go out to hunt a new monster, starting the loop all over again. Besides the main hunts, there are some side quests you can do to get extra money and different materials. You can also spend plenty of time with the Katakuri system customizing each of your regions. It's a very robust mechanic, and a lot of it can help you out in hunts as you can build all sorts of items to process ingredients, thus giving you more food to eat before a hunt. I personally really enjoy setting up all of my bases, and it's also really cool to see how other people set up theirs online. Overall, it took us around 30 hours to beat the campaign, but there's plenty of post-game content to sink your teeth into, and they've already started dropping new content with the promise of steady updates coming soon. So that's Wild Hearts in a nutshell. Now let's see how it fares in co-op.
Little combo, baby. Yoinkers.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
That's the Katakuri combo. Oh, he's just spitting in my face. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I see you, bro. Survive.
No, it's not gonna happen! Oh, jeez, dude, my whole health bar. Whoa, I got bro!
I got the pig! Do the honors, bro. You cut this pig up real good.
This little piggy ain't going home.
That's good.
That's good, dude. That's good. Good.
Monster Hunter likes, and therefore Wild Hearts, naturally get a lot right when it comes to co-op. You've got different weapons you can choose that give each player a unique and dynamic playstyle. Within those weapons, you have different elements so you can diversify your team. You can also flex your fashion skills with tons of armor variants from each monster. And of course, there's the monsters, in this game kimonos, that have tons of moves, transformations, and dynamic actions and reactions your group has to communicate around. All of these features that make this subgenre of games an amazing co-op experience are still here, are great, but actually aren't the secret sauce of what makes Wild Hearts stand out amongst its peers as a tier 1 co-op game. That's the Katakuri system.
Ooh, dude, the hammer and bomb.
We're gonna get the last hunter's arm.
Let's go.
Right on his forehead. That can't feel good.
Yeah, that sucks.
I go for another hammer while I'm at it.
Ooh, and I got a bomb.
As Gabe mentioned, Katakuri is the ambitious innovation Capcom used to stand out from Monster Hunter, and for that they deserve a kimono-sized pat on the back, because it is a smashing success. If you've watched our past Monster Hunter reviews, you know we always highly suggest them as co-op titles, but we do admit that the action ends up feeling like a solo player experience. Sure, you are communicating on what the monster is doing or where you need to hit, but you're focused on your weapon abilities and activating those weapon abilities at the right time, not necessarily what your buddies are doing. The Katakuri system successfully adds that dynamic, that cooperative gameplay that this genre sometimes lacks. So there are basic Katakuri like your box or spring or propeller that you drop pretty casually in battle. They're helpful for your hunting mates too, and getting a spring out that later saves your friend always does feel great. But what really spices up the battle are Fusion Katakuri. You unlock Fusion Katakuri in the middle of hunts if you have the right combination of basic Katakuri, and the kimono does something to prompt its activation. It's always a really hype moment for the entire squad when someone has that unlock moment mid-hunt because the monster gets knocked or something and you're happy for your boy, and it's very hype, and I'm just getting started, so let me slow down.
Here he goes.
I did it.
Oh no. Nice, bro.
Oh, dang!
Oh, dang, dude. Oh, you embarrassed him.
That's
are you
Beyblades,
still going?
baby.
So now with Fusion Katakuri, you can do these crazy combinations that can do significantly more powerful actions. For example, one Katakuri is a giant wall that you can use to knock or stop a charging kimono. But if you think outside the box, pun not intended, it also doubles as a defensive wall you can put down to revive a teammate.
Nice. Get me. Oh my god, they're so close. You got it.
Hit the wall.
Yep.
Wow, dude.
Oh
Holy
my
crap,
god.
holy crap.
Getting up a wall with seconds before your mate goes down and pulling off a revive is peak video game co-op thrill. Another Katakuri is a trap that you can set down that, if activated, will keep the monster in place for an extra second or two. Pro tip, coordinate that with your team so that as soon as it gets trapped, you lay down a fat hammer and embarrass your target. And I'm still skipping out on so many cooperative opportunities like healing Katakuri or literally just releasing both your Beyblades at the same time. It's kind of awesome. I'm just going to end with this example that I found where I set off a Katakuri firework that knocked down our foe, and then we both move in, Gabe drops a bomb, I drop a hammer, we absolutely embarrass Fumebeak, and it was so hype. And hopefully you're just kind of seeing my point build. Coordinating your Katakuri adds a whole new layer of strategy that we haven't seen before in a game like this, and pushes Wild Hearts past just being another clone and gives it its own two legs to stand on.
As you can tell by now, we are very impressed with Wild Hearts and all its ambition. Unfortunately, some of that ambition sometimes gets in the way of the great co-op mechanics we just mentioned, and this is most obvious in the level design. In general, each corner of Azuma has amazing art direction, but when it comes to some of the battle arenas you might find yourselves in, I'm just gonna say they can be downright awful. You'll sometimes find yourself fighting a huge monster in some random small garden, making it hard to put down Katakuri and coordinate with your teammates. Worse yet, other times there's too much clutter in an arena, so you'll find yourself getting stuck in places, or you'll see your camera go absolute haywire while you're simply trying to survive. It's not bad enough to not recommend this game, but it got in the way of us working together more than we'd like. Since Wild Hearts is new on the scene, it's definitely streamlined a lot of the systems and mechanics of Monster Hunter. And for the most part, that's been a good thing, as it's made Wild Hearts more accessible to new players. But at the same time, it does lack some of the depths, particularly in build crafting, that could have made players stand out from each other even more. Yes, there's different armor sets and weapons, but outside of the fixed perks that come with those sets, there aren't many ways to customize your character. There's a simple talisman system that's meant to replace Monster Hunter's decoration mechanic, but it's a very surface level interpretation of that. It's not something you'll notice if you're new to these kinds of games, and I want to emphasize this is for the most part a minor criticism for us. Outside of these issues, Wild Hearts is otherwise a very solid co-op title that we had a ton of fun playing together.
Later, boys.
Hold on. Oh, here he goes.
Oh shit, I'm falling.
So looking at Wild Hearts through our co-op focused lens, this is easily going to be one of the best co-op games of the year. If you and your friends have ever played or considered playing a Monster Hunter, I really think you should play a Wild Hearts together. Granted, that does depend on your console choice, but PS5 has been cleared by us. Looking at this outside of our co-op focus lens, there are a few more missteps that are worth a quick mention. The writing is terrible, voice acting is hilariously bad, and this example I'm about to show is the entire experience.
You will simply call the enemy. You're so right.
I can't, dude. This game is hilarious.
You're so right.
Visually, Team Ninja's engine needs a major overhaul. While everything is super ambitious as far as art direction is concerned, this looks straight out of a launch window PS4 when it comes to textures and lighting. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, you need to be prepared because there are some serious skill checks sprinkled throughout this game. This is definitely harder than your average Monster Hunter and had us on the verge of rage quitting a few more times than we like to admit. Golden Tempest, I'm looking at you, buddy. I'm looking at you. But despite all of that, we are still here highly recommending you play this with your friends. When everything is hitting, the fun factor is up there with the best of them. And of course, that's not to mention all the additional good the game does outside of co-op. Setting up Katakuri in your levels to create your own fast travel points and branching pathways was an awesome addition to this formula, and one that we actually even did together a few times. Simplifying the weapon and armor upgrades makes for easier onboarding systems for newbies, which I think is important, even if us veterans wanted a bit more depth. And the spectacle of some of these keystone fights, it just escalates and it's awesome. There are some seriously next level fights. Overall, I'm just really glad that this subgenre is moving beyond Capcom and starting to really take off. And I have my fingers crossed that we get several sequels to Wild Hearts, because if they can learn from the few mistakes on this first round, whatever follows this up is going to be an absolute banger, and you still need to get in now while you can.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support us, please consider subscribing or following us on our socials for more co-op content. You can also check out our merch store and shop our retro-inspired collection. We launched our official Discord server a couple months ago, so come join us and chat about all things co-op and more. You can find the link for all of that down below. Thanks again, we'll catch you next time on another episode of The Co-op Bros.
Ooh, I love your new panda, buddy. It's so cute. Brady got a panda toy and it's so cute.
Nice, that's amazing.
Oh my. Oh gosh, dude. As if that could contain me.
That's good, dude. That's good. Clip.
That for the bloopers.